How many of you did they hire?
Enough.
There are films that don't just tell a story, they forge a myth. The Magnificent Seven arrived in 1960 like a thunderclap. 7 strangers riding into a dying village with nothing to gain but a reason to believe in themselves. Elmer Bernstein's score hit your chest before anyone fired a single shot, and those 7 men on horseback against an open sky felt like something eternal. The idea that ordinary people can choose, just once, to be more than they are. But while the world of that dusty Mexican village stayed frozen in memory, the people behind it kept changing. Some of them became legends. Some carried quiet suffering that the cameras never caught. Some left us far too soon, and some of their real-life stories are as powerful as anything John Sturges put on screen. Chris Adams is the still center around which the whole film turns. The man who makes the decision that costs others everything and carries that weight without flinching. Yul Brynner was born Yuli Borisovich Brynner on July 11, 1920, in Vladivostok, Russia, and he was 39 years old when cameras rolled on The Magnificent Seven. By then, he had already won an Academy Award for The King and I in 1956, and he brought to Chris Adams the same quality he brought to every role: an absolute, unnerving stillness. He didn't act so much as occupy space. Other men filled rooms by being loud. Brynner filled them by going quiet. His shaved head, his measured gaze, the way he wore black like a second skin, all of it said, here is a man who has already decided. The character represents the Western ideal at its purest. Not a man without fear, but a man who has made his peace with consequence. Before The Magnificent Seven, Brynner had played Ramesses in The Ten Commandments and would go on to reprise The King and I across 4,625 stage performances worldwide, a number that staggers the imagination. He also played the iconic android gunslinger in Michael Crichton's Westworld in 1973, eerily prefiguring what Chris Adams was always meant to be, an unstoppable force governed entirely by code. His final years were spent in the knowledge that lung cancer, the result of a lifetime of heavy smoking, was going to take him. He made a powerful anti-smoking public service announcement specifically to be broadcast after his death. Yul Brynner died on October 10, 1985 in New York City at the age of 65. Chris Adams endures because Yul Brynner made quiet authority feel like the most dangerous force in any room. Vin is the question mark in the group. The man who signed up for $3 and a meal and then couldn't quite explain, even to himself, why he stayed. Steve McQueen was born Terrence Stephen McQueen on March 24, 1930, in Beech Grove, Indiana, and he was 29 when the film began production, younger than most of his co-stars, hungrier than all of them. What he brought to Vin was something almost unconscious, a physical restlessness that communicated inner conflict without a single word of dialogue. He was always doing something, adjusting his hat, spinning a shotgun shell, angling himself so the camera caught him just right. Directors saw it as competition. Audiences saw it as magnetism. Both were correct. Vin represents the man who doesn't believe in causes, but keeps finding himself standing up for them anyway, which is perhaps the most honest kind of hero. McQueen had done television's Wanted, Dead or Alive before landing in The Magnificent Seven, and he reportedly crashed his own car to get out of his TV schedule and appear in the film. What followed was one of the great Hollywood careers of the 1960s and 70s. The Great Escape, Bullet, The Sand Pebbles, earning him an Oscar nomination, Papillon, The Towering Inferno. He became the highest-paid actor in the world. He raced motorcycles and cars. He burned bright and fast and fully. In 1979, McQueen was diagnosed with pleural mesothelioma, believed to be linked to asbestos exposure during his years in the Marine Corps and on film sets. He fought it with the same ferocious, private stubbornness he brought to everything. He died on November 7, 1980, in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, at the age of 50. The King of Cool never grew old. He simply stopped. Vin endures because Steve McQueen made casual bravery feel like the most natural thing in the world. Bernardo is the film's unexpected tenderness, a hired gun who has nothing left to prove and no one left to protect, until he finds a group of children who look at him the way no one ever has. Charles Bronson was born Charles Dennis Buczynski on November 3, 1921, in Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania, the 11th of 15 children born to Lithuanian immigrant coal miners, and he was 38 when filming began. He had changed his name from Buczynski to Bronson in the mid-1950s, fearing that a Slavic surname would cost him work during the Red Scare. What he brought to Bernardo was something no other actor in the cast quite could: genuine knowledge of what it means to come from nothing. The scenes with the village children carry a warmth that is specifically Bronson's. A big man made soft by specific hurt, not sentiment. Bernardo represents the film's soul. The idea that the need to protect something innocent is the last thing a damaged person loses. The film made Bronson a star in Europe before America caught on. In Italy, they called him Il Bruto, the ugly one, and it was meant as a compliment. The Great Escape, The Dirty Dozen, Once Upon a Time in the West, and then in 1974, Death Wish, the franchise that made him a household name across the world and kept his career running through the 1990s. His wife, the British actress Jill Ireland, died of breast cancer in 1990. Bronson himself battled Alzheimer's disease in his final years before dying of pneumonia complications on August 30, 2003, in Los Angeles at the age of 81. Bernardo endures because Charles Bronson made a warrior's tenderness feel like the bravest thing on screen. Lee is the ghost of the group, a gunfighter who has lost his nerve, walking toward a fight he is almost certain he will not survive, because the alternative is living with himself. Robert Francis Vaughn was born on November 22, 1932, in New York City, and he was 27 years old when the cameras rolled. The youngest in the core cast, though you would never know it from the exhaustion behind his eyes. He had been nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Academy Award just 1 year earlier for The Young Philadelphians, and what he gave Lee was a performance of controlled, unbearable shame. Vaughn played a man who has had everything stripped away and cannot locate the will to get it back. It is subtle, interior work. Lee says very little, but every silence is loaded. The character represents the film's darkest question. What happens to a man when courage fails him, and can he reclaim it in a single defining moment? After The Magnificent Seven, Vaughn became Napoleon Solo in The Man from UNCLE, the spy series that made him a global television icon throughout the 1960s. He later worked prolifically in The A-Team, Bullet, and the British drama Hustle, which gave him a new generation of fans well into the 2000s. Remarkably, Vaughn earned a PhD from the University of Southern California in 1970, writing his thesis on the influence of the House Un-American Activities Committee on American Theater. He was the last of the Magnificent Seven to survive, and carried that distinction with grace. Robert Vaughn died on November 11, 2016, in Danbury, Connecticut, of acute leukemia at the age of 83. The last magnificent one to ride off into the sunset. Lee endures because Robert Vaughn made the fear of cowardice feel more devastating than death itself. Britt speaks perhaps a dozen words in the entire film, and he doesn't need more. He is the purest distillation of a certain kind of Western silence, a man defined entirely by what he can do and indifferent to everything else. James Harrison Coburn III was born on August 31, 1928, in Laurel, Nebraska, and he was 31 when filming began. His lanky frame, crooked grin, and cat-like ease in his own body made him unlike anyone else on screen. What he gave Britt was something almost zen, economy taken to its extreme. The knife throw, fast, certain, final, tells you everything about who Britt is without requiring a single line of explanation. Britt represents perfect competence as a form of identity, the man who has reduced himself to pure craft and seems genuinely to need nothing more. Coburn had been recommended to director John Sturges by his college friend Robert Vaughn, and The Magnificent Seven launched a remarkable career. The Great Escape, Our Man Flint, The Americanization of Emily, Sam Peckinpah's Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, Cross of Iron. But through much of the 1980s, he was nearly crippled by severe rheumatoid arthritis and made very few films. He fought it quietly and came back stronger. In 1997, at the age of 69, he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as an abusive father in Affliction, a triumph of patience and craft that moved audiences who remembered him only as the cool man with the knife. Coburn died of a heart attack on November 18, 2002, at his home in Beverly Hills, at the age of 74, reportedly listening to music. There are worse ways to leave. Britt endures because James Coburn made silence feel like mastery. Chico is the film's heartbeat of hope. A young man who wants to be a gunfighter until he sees what gunfighting costs and discovers that belonging somewhere might matter more than the thrill of standing apart. Horst Werner Buchholz was born on December 4, 1933, in Berlin, Germany, and he was 26 years old when the film was made. Easily the youngest of the seven, and he wore that youth on screen like a weapon, full of fire and hunger and wounded pride. German critics had already called him the German James Dean, and he delivered a performance of gorgeous, volatile energy. Where the rest of the seven are defined and settled, Chico is still becoming. He represents possibility, the story's argument that what you choose to protect can define who you are more completely than any skill. Before The Magnificent Seven, Buchholz had appeared in the British thriller Tiger Bay and had become a major star in Germany. After it, he co-starred with James Cagney in Billy Wilder's 1, 2, 3 and the romantic drama Fanny, and seemed destined for major Hollywood stardom. Missed opportunities intervened. Scheduling conflicts famously cost him roles in both West Side Story and Lawrence of Arabia, and his American career never quite reached the heights it might have. He worked steadily in European film and television for decades and gave a late, remarkable performance as Dr. Lessing in Roberto Benigni's Life is Beautiful in 1997. Horst Buchholz died on March 3, 2003, in Berlin, the city he loved and never really left, following complications from pneumonia after hip surgery. He was 69 years old. Chico endures because Horst Buchholz made youthful recklessness feel like the beginning of wisdom. Harry Luck is the realist, the one who cannot believe that 6 men would ride into certain danger for $3 and the satisfaction of a job done right. And so he invents a secret treasure to explain what he cannot otherwise understand. Brad Dexter was born Boris Michel Soso on April 9, 1917, in Goldfield, Nevada, to Serbian immigrant parents, and he was 42 when the film was shot, the oldest of the 7. He had been a boxer, a radio actor, a stage performer, a tough guy character player for over a decade by the time John Sturges cast him. What he brought to Harry was a grounded, earthbound skepticism that the film needed. Someone who measures the world in practical terms so that the idealism of the others is thrown into sharper relief. Harry represents the part of all of us that suspects heroism must have a hidden motive, and finds at the last that it doesn't. The success of The Magnificent Seven did not break Dexter into the A-list the way it did several of his co-stars, and he eventually moved behind the camera, producing films including Lady Sings the Blues for Sidney Furie. He is also remembered, in Hollywood legend, for saving Frank Sinatra from drowning on the set of None But the Brave in 1964. Off-screen, by many accounts, he was the warmest man in any room. Brad Dexter died on December 12, 2002, in Rancho Mirage, California, of emphysema at the age of 85. Harry endures because Brad Dexter made ordinary human cynicism feel, in the end, strangely moving. Calvera is the reason the story exists at all, and in lesser hands, he would have been nothing more than a threat to be eliminated. Eli Wallach made him something far more unsettling, a man with his own logic, his own pride, and just enough self-awareness to make you understand exactly why the village cannot simply wait for him to go away. Eli Herschel Wallach was born on December 7, 1915, in Brooklyn, New York, the son of Polish-Jewish immigrants who ran a candy store. He was 44 years old when The Magnificent Seven began filming, already a seasoned stage and screen actor trained in the method tradition at the Actors Studio. He had made his film debut in Elia Kazan's Baby Doll in 1956, and what he brought to Calvera was a quality that separated him from every other screen villain of the era. He played the man's certainty rather than his cruelty. Calvera doesn't terrorize the village because he enjoys it. He terrorizes it because, in his view, that is simply the arrangement. He is a force of nature, and the village is his resource. That philosophical ease is what makes him so chilling, and it's a choice only a great actor could sustain. Wallach had almost turned the role down. He went to director John Sturges and asked to shape the character himself. He wanted silk shirts, gold teeth, a beautiful horse, a sense that the money the bandits stole actually went somewhere. Sturges agreed, and the result is a villain you can read as a dark mirror of the Seven themselves. Another group of men with guns, living outside the law, taking what the frontier offers. After the Magnificent Seven, Wallach's career spanned another 5 decades without pause. He played Tuco, the Ugly, in Sergio Leone's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in 1966, a performance that many consider the finest of his career. He appeared in The Misfits alongside Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable, in How the West Was Won, in The Godfather Part 3, and continued working deep into his 90s, with roles in Roman Polanski's The Ghostwriter and Oliver Stone's Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, both in 2010. That same year, the Academy finally gave him an honorary Oscar for Lifetime Achievement, a recognition long overdue, given that he had never received a single nomination across a career of 60 years. He remained married to actress Anne Jackson for 66 years, until his death. Eli Wallach died on June 24, 2014 in New York City at the age of 98, the last star of the film still standing, outliving all 7 of the men he had faced down in that dusty Mexican square. Calvera endures because Eli Wallach made villainy feel like a reasonable position, and that is the most frightening thing a performer can do. The Old Man has only a handful of scenes, but the film cannot exist without him. He is the one who sends the frightened farmers toward the border, who speaks the word fight as though it has always been the only word worth saying, and who stays in the village while everyone else runs, not because he is brave, but because at his age he has already made his peace. Vladimir Alexandrovich Sokolov was born on December 26, 1889, in Moscow, Russia, and he was 70 years old when the cameras rolled on The Magnificent Seven. A man playing ancient and carrying genuine history behind every line of his face. He had trained with Stanislavski at the Moscow Art Theater, fled to Berlin as the political world shifted, fled again to Paris when Nazism rose, and arrived in the United States in 1937, with barely any English and a lifetime of displacement behind him. Orson Welles personally coached him phonetically, so he could take a lead role on Broadway. The Old Man's quiet, immovable dignity on screen was not invented by a costume department. It was lived. In American cinema, Sokolov was one of Hollywood's most versatile character actors, a man the industry turned to when it needed authenticity in any accent, any era, any nationality. He reportedly estimated he had played 35 different nationalities across his career, from Spanish guerrilla to Filipino fighter to Greek sailor. His Anselmo and For Whom the Bell Tolls in 1943 is considered among his finest work. The Old Man and the Magnificent Seven was one of his last. Vladimir Sokolov died of a stroke on February 15, 1962, in West Hollywood, California, less than 2 years after the film was released. He was 72. The Old Man endures because Vladimir Sokolov made moral clarity feel like the simplest and rarest thing in the world. Petra is the film's single thread of hope that has nothing to do with gunfire. She is the village's future made visible, a young woman brave enough to reach toward something beyond fear, even when every man around her is still deciding whether to stand or run. Rosenda Monteros was born Rosa Mendez Lessa on August 31, 1935 in Veracruz, Mexico, and she was 24 years old when she stepped in front of the cameras. In a film dominated by 7 stars competing for frame space, her Petra holds her own through sheer stillness and directness. She pursues the volatile Chico, not with vulnerability, but with a kind of patient boldness that the film's male characters are still working toward. The romance she creates with Buchholz is the only one in the entire story, and it quietly carries the weight of what the village might become if it survives. That is no small thing to carry in a supporting role. Monteros had already appeared in Luis Buñuel's Nazarene the previous year, a film that won the International Prize at Cannes, and she went on to a prolific career across Mexican cinema, television, and stage that lasted more than 50 years. She studied mime with Marcel Marceau, She received recognition from the Mexican Association of Theater Critics for 263 consecutive theatrical performances. She won Best Actress in Classic Theater of the Golden Age in 2003. Her career in Mexico was far richer and longer than most international audiences ever knew. Rosenda Monteros died on December 29, 2018, in Mexico City at the age of 83. Her death was confirmed by Mexico's National Institute of Fine Arts. Petra endures because Rosenda Monteros made the courage to choose your own life feel like the most revolutionary act in a film full of armed men. So now you have them all. The 7, and the man who made them necessary, and the village that made them human. Every one of them is gone now. The last to leave us was Robert Vaughn in 2016, and before him Eli Wallach in 2014, and the line stretches back through Rosenda Monteros, James Coburn, Horst Buchholz, Brad Dexter, Charles Bronson, Vladimir Sokolov, and all the way to Steve McQueen, who was only 50 years old when the world lost him. Some of them burned bright and fast. Some carried private pain no camera ever captured. Some built careers that dwarfed anything the film promised them. And some never quite got the recognition the film should have guaranteed. And all of them, gave something of themselves to a story that still plays, still resonates, still makes audiences believe in a small and stubborn idea, that it is worth standing up. Tell us down in the comments. Which character stayed with you? Which performance do you find yourself thinking about even now, all these years later? Drop your answer below, and if this brought something back for you, please give it a like, subscribe to Retro Rewind, and come back, because there are always more stories left to tell.